Well, I'm going to get started. I want to welcome really everybody to this. It's not the first time we've done this. This is the fourth time. This is an annual American Institute of Professional Geologists conference call where we are making ourselves available, a lot of the more senior people and some of the junior people, making ourselves available to help the students in particular with having some insight for writing their resumes, for putting together really solid cover letters, to do interviews. Because this is on Zoom, we probably will only test out, we're going to do one interview live here. In fact, to get started, I'd like to find somebody who could be our person who's interviewing. And I'll take a volunteer. We just need one person. So, hey, first come, first gets. I need one person that we will be interviewing later for a fictitious job, a hypothetical job. So if I don't hear of anybody, I'll probably pick somebody. So why don't you let me know if you'd like to do it. Just speak up.
I could do it.
And who's speaking?
That's Mark Wood.
Oh, Mark, okay.
I'll be the patient.
Okay, let's also try to have a young person, a student. Which of you students would like to be interviewed?
Yeah.
How about Akira? We can't hear you.
Don't be shy, y'all.
Hey, how are you? Akira, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I don't know. We have some noise on the line here. I'm not sure if you're not talking, we want to mute ourselves. Otherwise, hook in your mic and speak away. Akira, would you like to be interviewed tonight? It's a fictitious job, but we're all going to learn from the experience.
Sure, why not?
All right, great. Where are you from, Akira?
I'm from San Diego, California.
All right, San Diego. Thanks for being here.
You go to San Diego State?
No, I went to UC Davis. I just graduated.
All right.
That's great. Okay, well, how many of you are not familiar with AIPG? I don't hear anybody, so I'm assuming everybody knows everything that there is about the American Institute of Professional Geologists. I want to point out two things that are really important to recognize about AIPG. And the first thing is that we really hold a high bar of expertise and ethics in the industry. We hold that bar up, and we don't mind at all to show it to everybody. So if you're a part of the certification program of AIPG, that will benefit you hugely when you're looking for work, because people recognize the quality of the individual that's coming forward as a result of them actually receiving their CPG, their Certified Professional Geologist credential. And then the second thing is, and again, it's related to the credential. Some of the states in our country have a registered geologist registration. However, there is constantly a push to get rid of it. And those of us certainly in California, I'm a registered geologist and a certified hydrogeologist. It could go away next year. I mean, it could go away quickly. And then what do I have to hang my hat on? How can I demonstrate my credentials? Well, if you have the CPG that AIPG provides, you have it. You have it forever. You just maintain that particular registration, that certification. So those two things become very important contributions that AIPG can provide to professional life. So those of you who are students and young professionals, think about that, and then inquire. Contact our main office, inquire about how to get started on that. Of course, we have networking capabilities. We have educational classes. There's all kinds of things. We have the CPG magazine. I want to remind all of you students right now that the CPG magazine and your membership to AIPG is free, so do it. Okay, it's very, very worthwhile. There's a lot of good information in TPG magazine, and I think you enjoy it. In fact, we're always looking for articles from students as well. So please make sure that you join, and please make sure that you read cover to cover the CPG magazine. Now, one thing about that I have done personally is I started a radio podcast program called Meet Your Mentor, and it's designed to help to bring together people who are interested in getting into a water-related or a earth science-related job, ultimately a profession. And so I'm bringing mentor together through this radio program with the students or with the person who may be cross-training now into another profession, into an earth science profession. So you can visit with and listen to these podcasts by going to operationunite.co, and then just go to the Meet Your Mentor tab and enjoy it. We have two people up right now who have, each one have about, I don't know, 9 shows, something like that. Ultimately, it's 12 shows, but some of them are live. Okay, and then I notice we have our India student chapter present from Maharashtra state in the country of India, and we welcome you once again. You guys, it's amigo and amiga. We're all together on this, and you have some students, I think, also, and there'll be more attending, and I'm grateful that you're with us today. We're hoping to see at least one student and maybe a couple professors at our conference if COVID conditions become safe, and if that's the case, we really look forward to seeing each of you here in Sacramento, California, later in the year. As far as cost for AIPG members, students, it's free. I said that earlier. Young professionals, it's only $65, and if you're a professional member, it's $130 annually. So just go to AIPG.org, go to the membership tab, and join up. Okay. Now today we have we're going to be going through basically 3 things. Number 1, we're going to start off talking about how to get leads, attending meetings, introducing yourself. We've done this before at some of our meetings, but you cannot never do this enough times. It's important to be able to express yourself in front of large groups. We will then begin discussing resume writing, and then we'll get into a telephone interview. And Akira so kindly is offered, I pushed her into it a little bit, but she's offered to do this. So that we will end with that. Now, as far as hands-on, getting leads, that sort of thing, let me tell you up front, the interview secret in doing that, in getting leads and attending these meetings, is to be seen. That's it, to be seen and to get somebody's card. Jim Jacobs, well, actually, before I even get into this, we have 5 people here that are going to be talking. I'm going to stop talking pretty soon. And that is Jim Jacobs, who's had his own company. He's done a lot of environmental work, some oil work. Mehmet, who's in Southern California. He's a great guy, been in consulting in the environmental field for a long time. Matthew, you've done a ton of things in geology, and you are the president-elect right now for AIPG. And then there's Mark Rogers, who's attended here. He also a senior person in Southern California, and he can share his recent experience of moving over to yet another job, a company he's working with. And Danielle, who has so kindly agreed to come be with us today. She is a graduate of UC Davis, and she spent 4 years, most of which was in Germany, working for, I think, petroleum. Is that right? And now she's back here in California again. So these people are your sources of information. But I wanted to start with Jim. Jim, how do you become successful in getting leads? What is it that you do? And then once Jim gives us a couple sentences worth, how about you other guys chiming in and let people know? And then I'd like to hear what you guys, the rest of you, the students, think of that. Go ahead, Jim. How do you become successful in getting leads?
I go to a lot of different meetings, like AIPG is a good one. Another one for local for me was Groundwater Resources Association. I became active with GRA and passing out cards. It really is a networking thing. I never had great success in meeting realtors and or other people that wanted my services. So early on in my starting my company with my wife Olivia, we ended up getting a lot of work from other consultants who needed a professional geologist or a hydrogeologist to do the work. And so we got little projects here and there until we eventually developed a nice reputation and people started calling us. So that's where it started with. But basically, it's a matter of going to these meetings, introducing yourself. They usually have a session where they say, any new people here or people looking for work, and then you stand up and you say a sentence or two about what you're doing and pass out cards. Get there early, stay late, that's the rule. And I put a little newsletter together with Steve. Many of the issues are don't require talent, zero talent. One is just being prepared, being on time. I'm not going to read through them right now, but you can see them. I think it's on the website, may have been sent to you by AIPG National. But the issue really is there's a lot of aspects of job search that don't require talent. It just requires a positive attitude and high energy. So good luck with it.
Hey, Matt, what about you? Are there any particular professional associations that you would suggest these students pay attention to?
Well, I would echo Jim's sentiment about the GRAC because I've belonged to them for years, and the Groundwater Resource Association California. That's a top-notch outfit, highly interactive, northern and southern chapter, so lots going on, lots of interactivity. Their newsletter is well worth hanging on to. That's a good bunch. In Nevada, I belong to Geologic Society in Nevada. That's an exceptional bunch if you're going to go into economic geology, or even if you're going to go into hydrogeology or environmental services, out in the Carlin Trend or anywhere, on the east side of the Sierras. So that's a very, very good bunch. I belong to that group as well. But on a different track, if you will, just very quickly, that the chances of being in an event where somebody's going to hand you a business card and you're going to have that level of interactivity, we're probably not going to see that for a year. Or maybe this fall in Sacramento if we pull off the annual conference. So my thoughts on that are you really have to have something of an internet presence. And so you should have some kind of presence on LinkedIn. Make sure you're there. But if you're looking for jobs, put up a job notice and let people know you're looking for work. And you can just use like environmental Bay Area, geology Sacramento, and so and a search radius of 50 miles. So wherever it is you're looking, do that and do it on Indeed.com, Monster.com, Glassdoor.com, ZipRecruiter.com. Those are the places you need, and that'll give you a feel for the wording of the entry level positions that people are that those roles that they have open, that they're looking for people. And my advice to you is, in the business we call it answering the mail. And that is, if a potential client sends you a request for proposal, you want to respond to them using the same verbiage, the same tone and tenor of how they're talking to you. It's the same thing as emulating their posture, etc., when you see people in person. You want to do that in correspondence as well. So if they're talking oranges, you want to talk oranges, 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 not oranges and apples and a couple of bananas. No, you want to be as respondent as you possibly can to their solicitation and to emulate that such that you ping as many of those nodes of what they're looking for, that because they're going to have 25 candidates or maybe 2. But you want to be that number 1 that you get the phone call, you get the email of, will you have a time slot next Thursday at 10 o'clock to get on the phone with the potential hiring manager. And that's probably going to be our reality for the next year. That's how we're hiring. When we are hiring, we're not hiring right now, but that's how we're doing it. Everything's, first it's on paper, then it's on Zoom. And then after it's on Zoom, then it's sitting outside of a Starbucks or a Pete's or something like that with our masks on and kind of babbling through it at social distancing. But that's kind of the reality of where it's devolved, actually. I'd much rather conduct business in person, but that's kind of where things are right now. If you're looking for a job in May, if you're getting out of school in May or this spring, you're going to have to be doing that now. And that's how you should be, to my way of thinking. And have an electronic version that's good to go, tanto pronto. So when you see that solicitation, you send it out. Does that make sense?
Now, Mark, go ahead.
No, that's all I have to say.
Okay, now Mark Rogers, you recently had to shake the bushes up and find leads, and because you were transitioning from one company to another. What did you use? How did you end up finding the employment that you have now?
Well, I'm a super user of LinkedIn, and so I've got probably close to 20,000 contacts, and so I've been telling people throughout my career to use social media because that's a way to connect a lot of companies. A great way to network with colleagues. I concur with what's all been said so far, but there's some tricks and tips that I can give you guys with regards to networking on social media, which really does help. LinkedIn's got a job center. And so in the job center, they do have HR managers, client managers that are listed on a lot of positions that you typically will not see if you're going to other social media pages to look for work, like Indeed or some of those others.
Right.
LinkedIn's pretty good with regards to providing you that information that you can network with hiring managers and HR people before you even apply. And so you're actually able, and they will respond to you. If you want to ask about a certain position that you may be interested in a company, a lot of times they will respond in kind to an inquiry on regards to experience levels or focus points on getting your name out with these HR and hiring managers, because that makes a big difference in regards to if they're looking for a staff level person with maybe some special skill set, like monitoring well sampling, or if you were involved with PFAS studies for groundwater plumes or something like that, something specialized. And a lot of times those hiring managers will be looking for special skill sets for college students that may have interned. That's another big plus for a lot of kids coming out of school these days, is if you can show you've interned with, let's say, a utility company, or, for the company that I work for now is Western Solutions. We do a lot of interning throughout the nation for college students that may be looking to get into the industry, and so that's a great way for you to get a head start on the competition, which is very competitive right now, to do that. Now, with COVID being the way it is now, virtual, basically interviewing is how I had to do mine as well. I was taking interviews at 8 o'clock at night while I was on wildfire response, and it was just a long day, but you have to put in the hours. Job hunting is not easy sometimes. You have to have patience and be able to stick with it, and have, you almost have to be very driven in regards to what you want sometimes, and obviously you've got to know your audience. That's the other big thing. When you're communicating with people, I always ask if you're a geologist or an engineer or a geoscientist, because each person with those kind of backgrounds will think and talk differently in regards to questions or comments that you may have. And so it's always good to know your audience. And so it took me with COVID probably a good 3 months of interviewing with the current company that I had before I finally landed a full-time position with them. But I was working part-time in the Sierras at the time I was interviewing, so it was one of those inconvenience things that I planned for, But social media platforms like LinkedIn are very powerful. You can use the job center, like I mentioned earlier, or you can just go on and network with people. I post probably 5 or 6 articles a day, and a lot of them are things that I have interest in, like clean energy, climate change. You get a lot of very friendly, but sometimes there's a lot of naysayers out there with regards to some types of science, so you have to be careful of what you post. But I'm very passionate about science, and I sit on the AIPG Western Screening Committee board as well. So I actually provide mentoring for students that are looking to get their CPGs. So I can help with how you study, how you can get your CPGs qualifications, and also for the state of California as well. So that's all I've got, Steve.
Okay, great. Well, so as you can tell, Mark, Matt, Jim, I mean, all of us, we are here for you, and we will help you in whatever way we can to help you find your successes in your new profession that you choose to take. Why don't we open this up to some questions? We're doing a lot of talking here, but one thing real quickly, Akira, when you speak, could you make sure you're close to that microphone? It was a little bit hard to hear you before. Just thought I'd throw that one out. Anyhow, questions, anybody? And maybe Mehmet, you could respond to some of these questions. Go ahead. Anybody with questions about leads? How do you get started looking for that job opportunity?
I've been looking, sorry, my name's Aaron. I've been looking through LinkedIn for almost a year now since I graduated. I mean, I've rarely found anything that's actually entry level. And I'm just curious, like, where do I go with zero experience? Because I feel like on LinkedIn, they have 100 applicants that all have more experience than me.
Mehmet, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, you can, local meetings, you need to attend, local geologists meeting that they do have, wherever you are, and find out. And LinkedIn also, LinkedIn is a great platform I use all the time. And there are some groups in there that your interest. If you have interest on certain topics or certain area of geology that you want to pursue, you need to join those groups and be active in them. You don't have to publish anything. You just ask questions to people, and they will answer it. They will like that curiosity that you have, and they will definitely respond to that. And also mention to them, say, hey, I'm looking for a work. I'm looking for a job, entry level, and I'm willing to travel, and I'm willing to, and don't be picky on the salary end of it. There was a post from Mark Cuban. He says for the fresh graduates, they should take the first job, come to their way, and basically they are from transitioning learning without pay, learning with pay in their first job. That's what you're going to do. You're going to learn in your first job. They're going to train you. There's in our company, there's so many training. The person starts 2 weeks of training. You just don't do anything. And also on the job training and everything. So that's why it's better to get your foot at the door. And also you can join the AIPG meetings and I think we have a 1 year free young professional, and you will be able to find a job. And so just let people know that you're looking for work, for a job,
Well, let me pitch this over to Danielle, because you just graduated from UC Davis a few years back, and you were up against this very thing. How did that shake out? You ended up in Germany, so that sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I actually went and I did a lot of internships. So I didn't really have an issue finding a job. Honestly, like I did my internship. I did 2 internships with Tabor Consultants in West Sacramento. I'm not sure if they're still there. But for students who, are looking for internship opportunities, definitely getting in with your local geotechnical office is like very good points, and hiring managers really want to see that. I was able to get, college credit for that. Obviously it wasn't paid, and that's kind of a bummer, because I know those opportunities are out there, but just got to take what you got to get. And then after that, I pursued another passion, and I went to Japan for an internship at this Misasa Institute for Planetary Sciences. Yeah, I did a geophysics internship there, and that was actually paid. So thank you, Japanese government, for funding that, because that was paid, and you know, I got to travel and see Japan, and the Japanese people are just so wonderful. So it was just 100% a really good opportunity, and that's another internship opportunity that they offer every single year for you guys who are just graduating and, you know, you don't really know what you want to do. You don't have to go for a job. Like, you can go and look for internships that maybe don't pay as well, but they pay something. You know, it's really hard. You never want to hear that, especially when, you know, bills are piling up and it's a really scary place to be. But we have to make it work somehow. So I had those little experiences in my back pocket when I graduated, and I moved home, and my parents are like, when are you going to get a job? And my dad came in my room and he was like, you know, like, you've been home for 2 weeks, and like, I think it's time for you to get a job. And I was like, okay. And so I went on Indeed, and, you know, I put my little resume with just like some stuff that I did, my research that I did with Professor McLean, and my internships that I had. And so, like, you don't necessarily have to have, you know, the 3 to 5 years experience or the 1 to 3 years experience. You can use the practical stuff that you learned at UC Davis, and that's what you argue, or that's what you basically explain to the interviewer, to your hiring manager. You say, okay, well, yes, I'm fresh, you know, out of college, but here are all of the things that I've learned, and really quantify what you learned, not just like, oh, I took this igneous petrology class, and, you know, I learned the feldspar classes and all this stuff. Like, they don't want to hear about that. They want to know what you learn and how you're going to apply it to their job. And I think that when we graduate, sometimes we don't really think about that. We're still stuck in, like, thinking about classes only, and, you know, like, book smart. And so once you get out of the university world, you kind of have to start thinking with your street smarts. You have to start thinking, what can I say? What can I put on paper that makes me look the best? Because you're basically, in the end, competing against all of these people, you know, and everyone's really good. So you just really have to focus on what it is that you got, out of your education, and put that on paper. And if you do that, I think you probably won't have a problem getting a call back.
Okay, this is the real stuff. I mean, you didn't get out very long ago, so of college. You graduated 4 years ago. The internship.
Right, I graduated in 2015.
Okay, and how many internships have you been involved with while you were in school?
While I was in school, I did two internships with Tabor. I did one quarter, and then another quarter. So on paper, it was 2 separate ones. And then the summer that I was supposed to graduate, I went to Japan for that third internship, which was only 10 weeks long.
And could you wean from those internships specific analytics as to what you did, you know, what you accomplished, what you could do, what you learned to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, employers really want to see that you can take the qualitative and the quantitative and put them together and make money, right? Like, they don't want you to cost them money. They want you to make them money. They want you to be able to look at everything, see all of the stuff, and then do your job. Do your job without having to get a lot of input. That's what bosses really like to see. They don't want to do that. They don't want to have to, like, micromanage. They just really don't. If you need that, of course, you can. It's always important to be honest and communicative with what you need, because everyone's different. But yeah.
Okay, Eric, it's Eric, right? Did we answer your question? You must have fallen off your chair. Hey, how about?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Okay, that gives you some ideas. The internship that was brought up is an extremely important one. It's a way that'll cause you to take huge jumps forward in getting your first job if you can only get some internships behind you.
Now it's that, like I said, I've been out of school for a year, so can I even apply? Is that like, can I apply for an internship?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I personally, like, just in the back of, like, just right now, I have contacts in Germany with geothermal. I don't know if you're into, you know, renewables or whatever, but there's this institute called the Fraunhofer Institute. It formerly was the International Geothermal Center. And they're always looking for people to come and work with them. So, like, if you're not afraid of getting out there and doing like what I did and, you know, going and seeing the world, because you know what, actually, Professor Z, if you guys ever had Professor Zierenberg, or maybe you didn't, I think he retired before your time, but yeah, but he always said the best geologists are the ones who've seen the most places. So that was my thought process when I decided to leave my job at a geotechnical company in Fresno. So don't be afraid to pursue opportunities other places in the world. You know, there's a lot of opportunity out there, especially if you're having a hard time finding a job, like a, you know, a long-term kind of like career path. Internships are a great way to get started.
I'm actually from Michigan. I'm not in the California section. I'm actually in the Michigan section. I'm actually looking to move to Arizona. I did my field camp at the University of Arizona. A buddy wants to get me in doing like concrete testing. Not at all what I expected to be doing with my degree. I was really hoping to be like more out in the field and whatnot. I have like a math degree also, and I thought it would help me stand out, which I mean, it didn't. And at this point, like, I really don't want to move down there, but I really am like short on choices. So I was kind of, I'm in the midst of redoing my resume, and I was hoping, like, you know, maybe this would help, which it has very much.
Okay, well, we will step into resumes in just a moment, but I wanted to reach out to India right now. Are there any questions that you guys and gals have in India related to finding the job opportunity in America or elsewhere?
Yeah, nice, Steve. So that's what I was going to ask, actually. So what are the takeaways for the students from India, for example, if they wish to pursue a career, a job career in USA? So how they should start, how to go about the process of contacting the people, trying to find the companies in which probably both for the guys who have a doctoral.
Okay, well, let's throw that question out to Matthew. What do you think when we're talking about bringing talent from India into the U.S.? How can they go about doing that?
Well, I have seen on some postings where they will say that they will sponsor, what is it, like an H-1B, or they'll sponsor that. And when I was in New Mexico, we sponsored a couple of postdocs from, they were actually from China, mainland China, but and we sponsored them for 2 years. But that's my understanding is and some folks will be very explicit that they can't sponsor somebody because they're doing federal work. They're doing work for the Department of Energy, Department of Defense, Army Corps of Engineers, what have you. So they can't do that. But I think there are firms out there that if they don't explicitly say we're not going to do it, then they might otherwise be open to it if you've got the right type of, the right type of background, educational background that they're looking for.
Okay, how about Mehmet and Mark? Do you guys have some ideas for India? For Dr. Kumar?
Steve, can you repeat? I couldn't get you.
Oh, I was merely asking Mehmet and Mark Rogers here in California if they could add some ideas that they might have.
Sure. Yeah, sure,
okay,
sure.
For those in India looking for work here in America.
Well, I can jump in and at least give a shot here. the COVID market right now, or the COVID pandemic, has changed the job market significantly. It's now, virtual meetings, and even the employers looking for workers now are looking to because there's so much uncertainty in the job market right now. A lot of and again, this is what I've seen in my 4 or 5 months I was out in the job market. It's primarily the kids coming out of school that can show relative experience through internship are being picked up pretty quickly within 2 to 3 months of interview. And then it's the older guys that are the high risk, because of the fact that there are a lot of companies out there that don't want to shell out the big bucks when the market is uncertain right now in regards to where we're going with the pandemic. And so these kind of trends are a little unsettling for the senior level people, because of the fact that they got to show more relevancy to technologies than say the junior level people that are coming out with an internship type experience level. All right. And so those are the dynamics of the work industry right now, is that the mid to young staff level people that show internship level experience are getting seated faster than, say, myself, that's got 30 plus years of experience, and it's so the market's really changed from where you could leverage yourself and show that you could make a firm money right away, versus a internship type person that may demand a far less salary, but yet it would be less risk for the company hiring somebody at staff level versus a senior level. So those kind of things you have to take into mind a little bit when you're job hunting. The other big thing, I know that India is doing a lot of renewables, and so if you have students that have an interest in that kind of job market and supporting the clean energy market, can transfer some of those skills to the U.S. The U.S. is also doing a lot of clean energy, and so there's a lot of disciplines that support that. Permitting, there's geotechnical, there's waste management, environmental compliance, and some geology straight off as well, depending on what areas you're building in. Like, for example, if you're building clean energy in California, there's the seismics that you have to worry about as far as the codes for building on certain areas. So those are some of the things that I could offer you in regards to guidance on coming from India to the U.S.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Olivia Jacobs also offered an idea. Postdocs at universities in the U.S., she's saying that the Biden administration will likely be more welcoming with the India-U.S. exchange programs and the H-1B visas and so forth, those types of things, than what we've seen in the past 4 years. So you may see an improvement in conveyance of these types of opportunities for India professionals to come here to the United States. Mehmet, did you want to throw something in short, and then we need to step into the resume writing?
Yeah, that's one way I would think. Come in here for education and take some classes or something like that. Once they are here, it's easier. It's harder to get a job from India especially nowadays with the COVID and everything else. So that may be one way to do that. Then I would think,
Okay, well, thank you, Mehmet. We're going to step into the resume writing, and I would like you guys to just chime in, Jim, Mehmet, Matt, Mark, and Danielle, too. The pre-writing workflow, what's going on in your head is what I'd like to address first. And one nugget that I can throw out, and then everybody else can throw out their own nuggets, but when you are putting your resume together, it needs to be customized. You look at the job opportunity that you're going after, and you write the resume based on real experiences that you have, and you customize those experiences so they fit nicely in that box of that particular job opportunity. Because it's that picture perfect person, that's the person that's going to get the job. Anybody else? Why don't you add in some other things? Research a job, company itself, so forth.
Hey, Steve, I wanted to add to what you just said, in that
Yes.
when I reach out through LinkedIn Job Center to talk with the HR people or the hiring managers or client managers, I will actually, in a very brief method, try to pick their brain with regards to what they're looking for the job. So a lot of times they will tell you, we're looking for X, Y, Z in regards to our hiring program. And so if you can use those X, Y, Z tools that you glean from your so-called briefing with the HR managers to customize your resume, you get a top of the stack, so to speak, when they go to review.
Okay, very, very good point. Now, as you're going through this in your head, and Danielle, you want to say something here? Why don't you just go ahead and say it? What do you have to? We can't hear you. Your mic. There we go.
Yeah, so I just had a couple of points that I wanted to throw out there. One is, this is a really easy thing to do. If you know who your hiring manager is going to be, look them up on LinkedIn. Because this actually, a friend of mine from Europe, he gave me this trick and he said it works every time. I tried it out and I actually did get an interview. So maybe it does work. He said to go and look up your hiring manager on LinkedIn, go to their profile, because they get a notification saying that somebody looked at their profile. They're going to see that that person was you, and then they're going to go and probably click on your LinkedIn. And that's a really good way for them to look at you, to notice you without having it be just a paper, right? Because then you have your picture, you can put as much as you want on your LinkedIn, really. So that's one piece of advice that I was going to give. And the second piece of advice was, when you're looking at these jobs, these postings, they have the qualifications. Some postings are much more detailed with their qualifications or what they're looking for, and some are, leave more to be desired. Take the ones that have just like the real detailed, this is what we want, and put that on your resume. Work it in there, literally just copy and paste, and then rearrange, work it in. Because they want to see those things. That's what they're looking for. They want to see that. If you have that experience, that's going to be a really surefire way to get you noticed and get you on their radar.
Thanks, Danielle. Yeah, those are excellent ideas, and especially the LinkedIn one. To get on top of the desk, the stack of paper, your resume on top, right where they can see it. That's great. As you go through this process, you also have another thread that you need to track, and that is you got to look inside yourself. Be honest with yourself. Is that job really right for you or not? Okay, you have to answer that to yourself first, and if it's not, maybe you shouldn't go after it, because it may, even if you get it, it'll be a poor outcome, and you'll be looking for yet another job. Do you want to live where they're saying you would be living, having the lifestyle that you want? I mean, if it's very remote, do you want that, or do you want to be in the city? I mean, those kinds of things, the salary range. It has to fit your economics. So you need to look at those things as well. Anybody else would like to chime in on pre-writing workflow for a resume? Any questions from the students?
I have something to say about my process, just like what I do, because I'm unemployed. I don't think I brought that up, but I'm unemployed because of COVID. Thank you. And the energy crisis that happened at the same time in February last year. So yes, I'm also unemployed. I'm also looking for work. I'm in the same job as you guys, or same boat as you guys. My process is really just, continuously bettering it. Just word dump. I like to just stick everything that I've ever thought about whatever I've done with one position or whatever, and I just shove everything that I can ever think about it in there. And then I like to really just, go through and downsize and make it succinct and really impactful. Because I know sometimes looking at a blank piece of paper, it's just really hard to get started, and that's my best.
Okay, thanks, Danielle. Hey, Matt, are cover letters relevant these days? I mean, so much is done on the computer, on the internet. Is a cover letter still important?
I think a cover letter is still important. I think you need to keep it tight, and you need to just highlight exactly what they're looking for and where that flanges up well with what your experiences are and what your capabilities are. But I think I'm much. I like to think I'm a little bit more realistic about the dynamic of looking for work. I chafe at the notion of an internship and spending my time working for some enterprise or agency for free. I don't like that. I can make money on the side elsewhere doing other things. But if I'm going to be doing geology, I want to get paid for it. And I will tell you, as a position statement for AIPG, we all want you working. Every last person within the sound of my voice, I want you working as a geologist. And I want you to be very successful at that. So like Aaron's point, here he is up in Michigan. He wants to work in Arizona. So what does he do? I see entry-level stuff all the time. I see it every day. And there are agencies out there that you can apply to. And one of them, a couple of them out of Reno, one of them out of Elko, but they also have Arizona presences. One of them is called Rangefront. They hire entry-level geologists all the time. And the other one is Geotemps and Geopros. Geopros are a little bit more applicable in case you have some facility with Spanish, because they can send you to South America. And I'm talking entry level. So, well, maybe not South America entry level now with COVID, but certainly to Arizona. And I'm much more pragmatic about whether the fit or the function is meets you in your sweet spot. No, I'm more pragmatic. Will it involve a paycheck that comes to you every 2 weeks? Because that's what you're looking for right now. You've got bills stacking up. You gotta keep the wolf from the door. So find gainful employment and avoid all the esoterica. Any one of us can do something for about a year till we sort it out and figure out this isn't the way for me. But everybody says it's much easier to find work if you have a job. And the first point is find that job. So whatever it is, geo-related, find that job, do it wherever it is, try and make some sense of it. But then once you're in there and you've got a few paychecks behind you, then start navigating the realities of where you are and what you're doing. But pragmatically, get the job first. And so the whole esoterics of, is it a good fit and do you feel right? And I don't know. I'm more of the mindset, get the job first, and then kind of sort that out after the fact.
So Matt, initially these students have this handful of nothing. They don't have the leads at all. So how would you suggest they get out there and find leads in the most efficient way?
Well, I think what the education affords you is the right to stick your foot in the door. No more than that. No employer owes you anything. You haven't achieved, because they're going to sell your time, just as though you were an accountant or an attorney. They're going to sell your time at some multiple of what they're paying you as you bill out on a project to a client. So they need to make sure that you have a skill set that is a billable skill set, just as though you were a PE if you're an engineer, or a CPA if you're an accountant, or a JD if you're an attorney. And then you achieve a certain stature, a certain billability, such that they can charge out your time on a project. That's what consultants do. They sell time. So the reality of that is, long-winded answer, but it's to find something quickly, to get on board somewhere, and everybody has to start somewhere. And I know my first jobs were not what I wanted, but they actually paid well. My first job was shooting seismic in Lodi, California, and I remember it intimately. It was a long, long time ago. Lodi's not a garden spot, but it worked out well, and I had a couple of years to figure it out and save money for grad school, and off I went to grad school. So that's job one. And everybody's entry level at some time or another, and they can talk about, the advanced degree from, Stanford or Dartmouth or wherever. Yeah. But you still got to find the work. You still got to pay the bills. So I'm just very pragmatic in that regard. It comes from years and years of consulting.
Back in the day when I first got started, I let my fingers do the walking in the yellow pages.
Oh, that's right.
I contacted every water resource firm that existed in Denver, Colorado, and found my job within 3 days. It worked. So, you know, it's tedious. But
we need to bring that back.
Say again?
I said we need to bring that back. This endless applying on LinkedIn is really getting on my nerves.
But there's nothing like picking up the phone and calling and talking to the secretary of the person you want to get the attention of, and find out as much as you can about that person and how to make that connection. I've done that too. It's sort of second degree of separation methodology.
Oh yeah,
it works. It works too, because you know, whoever's helping them is likes to be the network person. It works. Anybody else?
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
This is Troy here. I've had a slightly different experience in my geologic career. My early days, I was, yes, very, very fortunate to be at the right place at the right time when I started my graduate studies in North Carolina, where I got picked up when the federal government was getting a rare moment of a surplus in the Geological Survey, which led to a 4-year opportunity with the USGS. When I left the USGS, I got into, instead of protecting the environment, I was doing pretty much the opposite in geologic exploration, oil and gas, offshore work. That was a rapid 2-year experience. However, I was in extremely remote environments, hostile setting. I really didn't know what in the world I was doing, because if I had a thought about it probably too long, I wouldn't have gone. But it was a referral from a good friend from early days of school where I got in. And ever since then, it's always, I would say 90% of the time, was I had to know someone. I had to know someone to get the interview. If I didn't know them, regardless of the experience, I wouldn't even get an interview. And I've been probably a few more laps around the sun than most of the folks here, but eventually you find out who gets the job. And if you do the comparison, it's clear that it wasn't about your skill sets. It was totally about who knew who. Who knew who. And this stretches throughout the entire sector of the geosciences. And sadly I've witnessed it where that's how most of the companies that I've ever dealt with do their recruiting. They just ask people in the office, hey, do you know anybody that can do this kind of work? And that's it. So
Troy, you really hit on it. It's relationship. It's building relationship. And once you have developed that, then suddenly you start piecing together the puzzle and you find that employer and win them over.
Yeah, it is about building relationships, but for most people will not have the opportunity to build a relationship. And that's where I think a huge lot of the trouble that folks come into, because you know, you could apply for these jobs and it's bad enough that robots are reading the applications before they get sent to the individuals that make the decision. That's a bigger problem today than it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago. But, you know, trying to build a relationship with people that there's no way in the world you would meet these folks. No way possible. You would have to basically, as what some people have said earlier today, you would have, you know, in the past that would be stalking someone. But now you're doing it on the internet. You're following people's posts and trying to comment on them, and then eventually saying the right thing to get their attention. It's not very easy, and you know, sad enough in the geologic sector, there's a lot of bias. But will it get better? I don't know. But in my opinion, it's very, very, very difficult for the average individual that's over 30 years old trying to work in the geologic sector. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it can be difficult in developing relationships, but one thing for sure, everybody attending today has established relationships of all kinds already. We do have the ability to expand that circle. And again, I would encourage, I mean, the things on the internet can be too many, 3 degrees of separation, but so it's hard. But if you pick up the telephone and talk to the front desk and learn about what they are, what's going on in their office and who would be the best person to talk to, then that would be the answer. That may help. You just have to try different tools and different approaches until one clicks. But I don't want to leave the students with the feeling that, oh my God, this is an uphill battle that's extremely difficult to happen. You will have your difficulties, but you will succeed. You will endure and get through those, and you will ride, because all of us do. It was hard for myself, and I ended up doing quite well.
Hey, Steve. I just wanted to comment that the previous commenter was making a opinion, and I respect that, but I disagree with it in some fashions, in the fact that it could be regional in regards to what he's seeing in regards to the trends he expressed. And I do see some of that out here in the West, but I think for the most part, if you can set your path and show that you can stand on your own 2 feet in the field and be able to be operating, self-reliant in regards to the skill sets you have, and not have to be micromanaged by managers, that's a trend or skill set that a lot of, at least the U.S. West employers are looking for. So getting out of getting away from the books, getting out in the field, and being able to get that field experience in any kind of job that's geo-related will give you the steps to at least advance your career.
And that's a very and those are very good marketable traits. Those are very good things. But you clearly point out the most important thing is location. And with geologists, yes, if you're in an area of the United States which has natural resources or significant water problems, or just there's just a whole lot of freaking people, like places like California, there are going to be a lot more jobs because there's a lot more of an economy. But if you're somewhere such as the southeast of the United States, in particular Florida, where there's not, it's almost an inverse relationship when it comes to the importance of water versus anything else. It's totally the opposite. It's almost the inverse between Florida and California. These are 2 completely different environments for the geoscientists. I've worked in all of these different areas, so that's the only reason why I bring it up.
Well, I've worked throughout the West Coast, Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and you make your own road, all right? And so networking works anywhere. You've got to basically find the people hiring. You got to understand what they're looking for. You have to fine tune that resume, that cover letter, and be open to taking that job that may get you in the door, but maybe not the salary level or the skills that you might want us to be, the rest of your life with. But at least it's a start. Getting that foot in the door with a staff level job gets you your resume started, and by being able to foster those relationships with a starting job is important, and being able to get mentored by senior staff in that office is valuable, and being able to get recommendations from the company that you're working for is also an important step in regards to advancing your career in regards to professional development. And then once you're able to get enough years under your belt to satisfy the CPG requirements for sitting for the tests, or qualifying for the reviews, that CPG does open doors, believe it or not, and I hold my CPG since 1992. I also carry PGs from multiple states, and those registrations carry their weight in gold in some areas, and so being able to provide that professional registration as part of your resume, and sometimes jobs require that. So it's a good starting point. Go ahead.
Mark, I think what you both, Troy and Mark, are saying that this is a bit of an artistic approach to finding work. And it takes establishing personal relationships. It takes being strategic in and how you go about doing that. One last question before we step into an interview was given by Tushar Dagde. I'm probably butchering your name. Sorry about that. What's the difference between virtual training programs, and we have a lot of those now, right, because of COVID, and the more practical experiences in training? What should be more helpful to get us selected, to get a job? Would any of you guys or gals, Danielle, what do you think?
Online training?
Yeah, online
opportunities?
Training, practical experiences and training in other fashions.
Like on the job, or what do you mean?
Well, that's the question that they have. So I guess what they're really asking is virtual training any good? Can you get some good education that way?
I mean, the only virtual training that I have personally, and just off the top of my head, is when I did all of my training for Halliburton. It was all the safety and dangerous chemicals and, HR, being safe in the workplace type stuff. I listened to them. I understood them. I paid attention. I, valued the information that what they were trying to convey to me. I have heard from colleagues of mine that they just really hate it and they don't get anything from it and they forget it right away, and it's just more of a nuisance than anything. So I don't know.
So it sounds like it's as far as getting a job, it may not be so helpful. Although getting the 40-hour health and safety training and the certification, the piece of paper, is useful, because that piece of paper costs 40 hours of an employer paying for your time, as well as the cost of the program. So that it does mean something as far as that goes. We need to step, thank you, Danielle. We need to step into our last segment here. We only have 30 minutes to go, a little less than that. And that is an interview, a practice interview. And Akira, I hope you're not hiding, but you're there somewhere. Akira, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, make sure you stay close to that microphone now. Okay, well, I'm gonna read you this entry-level geologist position that you just are salivating over. You want it so bad. It's such a good job that you'd like to get. You'd be working with Geology at its Best company. Okay, they're the best. So obviously, it's in their name. They're seeking an entry-level geologist to join their environmental consulting team, and you know where? San Diego, of all places. They're seeking a talented individual who is interested in supporting a variety of environmental tasks, including contaminated site assessment and remediation, environmental due diligence, and environmental compliance and permitting. Okay, so you'd be seeing everything associated with the environmental field, it seems. Their client base includes a diverse mix of industrial, institutional, and governmental clients, including pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so that is the job that you are going to be on an interview with now. You're going to try to get this job. Now I'm asking Jim and Mehmet, Matt, Mark, and Danielle, by golly, you too. The five of you are the panel that is going to interview Akira. All right, and she's walked in your door. She's got this big, massive smile on her face, and she wants to meet you, the five of you. And so let's just say, Akira, you just came in, you sat down, and now Jim Jacobs throws out the first comment or question. Jim?
Yeah, so why do you want to work for this company?
Well, I'd like to work for this company because I think I've always had a passion for helping the environment and improving the situation. As we've seen with coronavirus, once people stepped inside that humans are the cause for most of the environmental problems going on in the world. So I'd love to find a way to reverse that and fix the environmental problems, the contamination, anthropogenic causes that are going on. And I think your company is an excellent way for me to do that.
You guys just jump right in. I'm going to be quiet for a little bit.
Look, I can jump in. California is probably the leading state for environmental regulation. They're very proactive. And so if you're jumping into the environmental field, you have to probably know those regulations pretty well to provide a company a good, to be somebody that can get in the field and not have to be micromanaged. How have you spent much time in California or been able to get exposed to, through study, through your schooling, of environmental regulations in the state of California?
Well, I am a recent grad from the University of California, Davis, where I just recently actually took a class on modern climate change, and we covered a bit about environmental regulation, especially in California. But I'm also a very quick learner and study and very proactive and able to learn things on my own and with a bit of guidance from my superiors. And I'm also very eager to learn.
So the second part of that question, since you seem to be knowing regulations well, do you know what monitored natural attenuation is about and how that applies to regulations?
I do not.
Okay, that would be something. That's sort of the trend. A lot of the sites are going for closure, and so that would be a good study point for you going forward to show value that you can go to that next level as far as getting ahead of the competition. So putting down monitored natural attenuation on your study list, along with sharpening up your skills on environmental regulations for the state of California, will get you a job.
So, Akira, this attenuation that's being spoken of, that Mark's talking about, is Mother Nature has a whole bunch of bacteria that's quite active in the ground. It's both aerobic and anaerobic. And it has a metabolism that can consume some of these contaminants that we're dealing with. And so it was found out by Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories a short while ago that if you monitor the decline or the trends existing in a contaminant plume in the groundwater, for example, and can quantify its negative trend, then you can basically close the case if that is considered a low-risk site. In a nutshell, that's what that's all about. And it would be worth, as Mark said, and suggested, to look into that if you're interested in groundwater-related stuff. This is an environmental job, so I suppose that you would be. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Ask more questions.
I'll ask.
So I'm going to ask one that sorry. I'm just
Malia,
going to ask one that was asked to me.
Danielle, go ahead, and then Jim, you're next.
Okay. This was asked to me in my interview when I first went into my staff geologist position. If I told you to measure the distance between here and Las Vegas using only a credit card, how would you do that?
Well, I would probably look at, the length of a credit card and probably use a map and the scale ratio and do the math to equate the length or the ratio of a credit card to the scale map, which would be the actual distance, and figure it out that way.
Very good. That was the right answer.
Okay. Good answer. Jim, you had a question?
I think you'll see, go into consulting or an oil company, whatever, there's sort of a different level of staff. They're going to usually start from staff geologist to project geologist to maybe an associate geologist to principal geologist. And there's sort of a ranking, if you will, as you progress through your career. And that's true of all industries. And I recommend all people applying, especially for entry-level jobs, to sort of understand that level of how things progress. Because a typical question is going to be, and I had it when I went into the oil industry as well as in the environmental, say, well, we really like to talk with you about a job now, but where do you want to be in 5 years? And so you have to have an understanding of that. So I'll leave it to you, Akira, to tell us, where do you want to be in 5 years?
I think in 5 years, I'd like to be deeper into my career, probably going from like an entry level or amateur geologist up into a professional one, to take on more responsibilities and roles in the organization and to be able to do more.
Good answer.
That's good. I think, as I say, if you learn some of the different job titles, which are pretty consistent throughout the different industries, that'll help that you might be able to say in 5 years, I'd like to be running projects as a project geologist, or I'd like to be a resource geologist on well site, or whatever it is. But that way you have an idea where you want to go. It makes it sound like you've done some research on it. Nice answer.
Hey Steve, I just wanted to add on that M&A comment I made, is that the client is looking for ways that they can save the firm you're working for, the consultant, environmental company that you're working for is looking for ways to save their client money. And by using M&A as a way of closing a site is that process. And so you show value in understanding the M&A process and the environmental regulations. You save the client money and you make that client look A1. You know, the company that you're working for. So that's sort of the angle that you need to use in regards to leveraging your skills in the job market by being able to understand the environmental regulations and what the M&A process that Steve had relayed earlier is all about, is being able to make your company look good by helping your clients save money.
Okay. Hey, Mark, now, Kellyanne has a question she'd like to ask Danielle. So, Kellyanne, you want to go ahead and speak?
Yeah, sure. My name's Kellyanne. And just on the topics of resumes that was talked about earlier, someone mentioned that your resume should be customized. And just using Danielle as an example, she had 2 internships that were geophysics and geothermal. So I was wondering if your job was more like geothermal based, would you be able to, would it be preferred to put the geophysics internship as well on the resume, or would you rather not put that geophysics internship on there?
It has been my that at this age where we don't really have a lot of experience, put everything on. Yeah. Put whatever you have on, because you don't have anything. If you're leaving stuff out, then like, what is there to show? You know, like, so yeah, I mean, Steve was saying, yeah, customize and all of these things, and that's good. But, you know, you're going to have experience, especially if you've dabbled in because geology is a wide field, right? Especially if you've dabbled in a little bit of this and a little bit of that in the study, you're going to have a lot of information about a lot of different topics. And it's not always going to be directly related to your job or to what they're looking for. But you can always use it to your advantage. You can always reword it and say like, oh yeah, you know, this wasn't exactly what you're looking for, but I learned so much from that. You know, I learned time management skills. I learned computation. I learned blah, blah, blah. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly the job title for the job that you're applying to. You can, like Steve said, customize it to make it work. And that's what I do, because I haven't, you know, I've done the geophysics in Japan. I did the geotechnical internship in Sacramento. I did geotechnical in Fresno. I did geothermal research with Professor McLean while I was at UC Davis. I did oil and gas when I moved to Germany. That's the job that I lost not too long ago. And right now, I'm not really looking to go into any of those things. I don't want to do construction. I don't want to do oil and gas. I would like to go into geothermal, but in my area, there's not a lot for it. And so in my area, what's really important is groundwater sustainability. So that's where I'm going right now. And yeah, if that answers your question.
And there are components of your experiences that smaller components of your experiences that could be applied to many different fields. So that's sort of the mining of your experiences and coming up with that. Now back to the interview, Akira, I noticed that you mentioned that you are very environmentally conscious and want to do good in the world and help eliminate mankind's huge footprint on our environment. But I was wondering, with this company, you know, we have clients who are pharmaceutical industries, and as you well know, we have some emerging contaminants coming from those, and you may be on projects where we're supporting a pharmaceutical company. How do you feel about that? Well, how would you work with that?
I think I would try to do my job to the fullest that the company would want, while also trying to to finesse a way to keep the environment in mind, if possible, since I am there to do a job. So to make sure I get my job done the best way that I can for the planet and my client.
So are you saying that you would come up with some sort of balance?
Some type of balance.
Now, you know, you look like a fine young professional standing there in front of me here. I was wondering how you would deal with this scenario. Okay, I send you out on a project site. You're out in Timbuktu somewhere, and you're there with a driller and his helper, and you have a number of different borings to put in at various depths, and you're the one that's calling the shots. But the driller in this particular job he's a pretty heady guy, and he's telling you what to do. He's saying when you need to stop drilling, when refusal is reached, and this and that. How would you deal with that situation?
Well, I think I would take his advice into consideration, but also assert my dominance as the project manager and the leader, that I need to be, at the end of the day, I need to be respected, and my call is what has to happen in the situation.
And to what degree would you get me involved? I'm sitting in my office.
I think after several attempts, and if things do not go as planned, then I think after a certain period, if I'm being ignored, then it's time to step in and have higher ups assist me in the type of what I need to get done.
Okay, a couple more. Thank you, Akira. And a couple more questions, you guys and gals, for Akira.
Akira, that was a very good answer. That stuff does come up in the field from time to time. I would like to offer up that I have learned so much from drillers over the years, and even from drillers' helpers, because they look at a whole lot more drill core and drill cuttings than you ever will in your lifetime professionally. And there's so much to be learned, but they also develop kind of a layman's opinion or a lay understanding of what they're looking at. So you have to kind of strike a balance. And so it becomes a dynamic of some give and take. But while I have a moment here on my soapbox, I really want to put this guy on the spot, because we have Mark Wood on his call, and he's kind of stalking us over here in the corner, and he has yet to chime in on this. And I'm telling you, I know Mark from way, way back. He's a very, very accomplished guy. He's worked on a number of very high-profile Superfund sites, Rocky Mountain Arsenal, Rocky Flats, Lowry Landfill, all of them mega billion EPA Superfund sites. He's also got an extensive oil and gas background. And when somebody chimed in about Halliburton, it's like that should have piqued up your ears right away. So I'd like, Mark, if you could weigh in on some of this, of what you're seeing here, because we're very fortunate to have you on the call.
No, thank you very much, Matt. No, she's doing a good job with the answers to the resume or interview questions, really. And I just posted out to everybody that an idea to try and compose your resume and cover letter specific for that job. So you have a base template, and speaking for someone that's got geotechnical, oil and gas, environmental, multiple types of environmental experience, that's what you got to do. And it's hard, especially when you're getting older now, and looking at what you can do and what you can't do. And when you're straight out of school, you're like, hey, give me anything. Sometimes it's good, to actually go out and try and beat the bush in the area that you're wanting to live. That's one of the benefits of being a geologist, is that you can really pick where you want to live and then find your work there. I'll pass back to
Mark.
Matt.
Mark, I totally agree with your sentiments that Akira is doing a good job on this, because this could be a very awkward interview. If a potential boss is really coming down on you with these hypotheticals, I mean, it's hard to respond to hypotheticals. Let's go ahead and summarize. Akira, thank you very much. You did a very, very good job. I want you to know that. And there are no wrong answers in this this hypothetical and this hour and a half we have together. It's all good stuff. What I liked, I noticed you were standing up, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that is really important, because we express ourselves in the best fashion if we are standing up and we are allowed to use our arms. Hands-free, you're not holding your cell phone, you're standing up, you're using your hands, you're really expressing yourself with your whole body and your mouth. You mentioned that you were teachable. You mentioned you are proactive. You like to get on. If you have to learn something early so that you'll be better on the job, you go do it. You're eager. And as far as the driller question that I posed to you, it's so important to always respect everybody who's on the site. And if they are copying a bad attitude, that doesn't mean you disrespect them. You maintain that respect, and you have discussions with your first in command at the office, and you work it out, because it's important to acknowledge to yourself that you are entry level and you have a lot of good things going for you, but you still need the support, and that's expected. That connection is expected, that you speak with your boss and that you know what some of your limitations are. It's part of developing that relationship with your boss. So yeah, you had some very good points. Keep your boss informed. And the one thing I would change, however, would be this. When you're talking about why you want to be with a company, what they want to hear is, what is it that you are going to do for us? What are you bringing us? So craft that within your answer. Can now anybody else, including Mark, both Marks, if you'd like to chime in on Akira and some of the great stuff she said, and maybe make some other suggestions?
Well, I'd volunteer a couple of things, and one is there's those soft skills that you have, that you bring, not just the quantitative book smarts that you have, but it's the soft skills. And along the lines of what Steve was talking about, you're an excellent team player. You take instruction really well. You work on a very steep learning curves, and you're very, like he said, you're very teachable. You're very coachable. You come along the curve. You're low maintenance. You're low drama. You show up early, like Jim had said, and you go home late. That's what they're looking for. People who fit the function and fit the team, and get along to go along. But before we get too close to wrapping this up, Steve, I had one other little mini announcement that I wanted to make, and I came across this on LinkedIn earlier this week. US EPA Region 9 is coming out. San Francisco is coming out with a Pathways intern program that they're going to announce sometime next week. The window will only be open for about 10 days to apply for it. It'll be on usajobs.gov, and USA Jobs is all capped. You have to be a student, either full-time or part-time, and it's a paying job. And the emphasis is on diesel contamination. this just came up 2 days ago, but I can't find the link, and I think it's because it's not out there yet. But USA Jobs is where to find it. USAJobs.gov, G-O-V. Okay, there's little value add there.
Matthew, thanks a lot. That's great. Let's open this up to students and ask some more questions and comment. Why don't you comment on Akira's interview?
I think she did a really great job. I was impressed.
And what is it that stood out for you?
She was just on it with the answers, like
confidence.
Definitely,
So
yeah. Yeah, I was even like, oh, that was a hard one, and she was just right on it. It was awesome.
All right, Katrina.
Yeah, definitely great job. I mean, especially with not having time to prepare and not knowing the job or the company very well. Your answers were really good.
I might make a suggestion that many different job interviews as are available, even if you don't want to work for the company, because it takes you about 5 to maybe 10 times to go through that interview process to get good at it. And all of a sudden you'll start hearing the same questions over and over again. Secondly, you may take an interview with a company you had no interest in. Obviously do check out their website first. And then you might find out that you really like the person, or you really found out something that you didn't know. And then all of a sudden they might be a good opportunity. So I recommend taking as many opportunities to interview, even if you're not that wild about the company, just to get that experience.
And I just want to share some advice that I've gotten. If you get rejected, try and email their recruiter or whoever you spoke with and try and get some feedback on why you weren't selected. So you might be able to tailor things better for the next one.
Wow, that's an excellent comment. I've actually done that before, and it helped. They told me, and I took a big swallow, and then I moved forward, and I did better next time. So yeah, excellent idea.
So I have go
ahead.
I have a question for you veterans. Excuse me. So my name's Kyle. I'm from Michigan as well.
Oh, okay.
So I have a little bit of a non-traditional path. I took a couple of years off of school because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I've been working my entire way through school. Started busing, then waiting tables, then bartending. So I have like 10 years of customer service experience. And because I was paying my way through school, I wasn't able to really look into these opportunities for internships and stuff. So, or like work in any labs with any instructors. So I have very minimal actual geoscience like experience. But I feel like I can do customer service in my sleep. So I was wondering if there were any insights you had on what kind of skills transfer well and what sort of positions would be a good fit for someone who has as much experience as me in that realm.
Actually, Kyle, I think that will give you a leg up on just about everybody on this call. And the reason I tell you that is geologists are very poor networkers. We're just only a little bit better than engineers. We used to say the extroverted engineer is the one who's staring at your shoes while he's talking to you. But the simple reality is it's those soft skills and the ability to effectively communicate in real time, to think on your feet. And you have to do that in customer service and I empathize with you completely. I came from a very big family. We didn't have any money for education, and I stud framed houses and I painted houses and I did all of that to pay my way through school. And you really appreciate the better grades when you earn them that way.
Absolutely.
So, and I didn't get out of, I was a lot older than the rest of my classmates, so I empathize with you. But it's those life skills that will give you an advantage. I think they will.
Yeah, Kyle, there's actually some positions that are open for salespeople for some of these geologic software or data streaming, cloud-based applications that can use someone as an entry level to help them with their sales.
Okay, I'll start looking into those because I would love to be able to just like jump right on into field work, but I'm pushing 30. I'm already starting to creak. I don't know. So maybe I just need to accept what my path has been. So I wanted to stay away from sales if at all possible, just because I love being out there. But
start in sales first, and then get to where you want to be.
It's a shoe in. Danielle, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, Kyle, that's those guys are usually called application specialists.
There you go.
If I could chime into this also, sorry. This is Aaron again, also from Michigan. Similar path. I'm 29. I've worked in every industry. I can do electric, plumbing, done every side job you can think of to make it through school. And there's one that I really want to ask because I've never really had a platform. And it's kind of a really weird one. I started growing cannabis about 5 years ago, which really helped me pay my way through school. It's basically like running my own business. I have people under me. I'm a caregiver. And I mean, from attention to detail to time management to just everything you can think of, like I can put in like with that, but it's just something so weird to put on a resume that I feel like would just automatically disqualify me from everything. And I'm just curious as to thoughts on that.
Well, if it's a company that has a lot of federal work, it would not be a very good idea. If you could refer to having a business of your own and the types of things that you did for that business without saying it's cannabis, then that will get you in the door, and it will impress people. But I would be careful until you know that it's safe to mention what it is. Cannabis is still a bit on the controversial side.
Yeah, it's coming more mainstream, but yeah, you're right. It's still.
I understand. It's a lot of like discipline, and it's a big section of like my experience and like my life that I feel like I leave out of everything I've ever like applied to or talked about. And this is my first time even in a semi-professional like setting, even discussing it, which I feel is already a little uncomfortable with.
Well, you're amongst friends here. But I mean, look at the specific tasks that you had to achieve and accomplish effectively and efficiently when running a business like that. Look at how you put together your irrigation practices. How did you find out what nutrients were needed? How do you cultivate? How do you secure the perimeter of your 1 acre, whatever it is that you're working? There are a lot of things that you can pull out as being very valuable. I mean, that very easily can correlate to different aspects of running an environmental assessment, a huge assessment in mitigation on some site.
It's my opinion that if you do want to include that on your resume, there's a hobby section. Put that there. Don't say cannabis. Say like I like to garden or like I like.
All right, because
I like landscaping or something like that. What happened?
It gave me the freedom to go to school and like pursue what I actually like, what I actually enjoy, what I actually want to do with my life, and like. I mean, it's just I haven't been able to like really express that.
It's a huge part of your life, and there's a reason why there's like a hobby section, or just like general interest section, because employers want to see who you are. Like, are you going to fit in with their company? Are you outdoorsy? Do you keep to yourself? Are you weird? Are you kooky? Are you nice? Are you confrontational? Like, putting hobbies and stuff like that really rounds you out so that you're not just, there you go, horticulturalist is what someone said. Exactly. It really rounds you out and gives them a good idea of who you are as a person, because you can list all of the things that they want to see until you're blue in the face, but if they don't know who you are, they probably aren't going to want to really get to know you if they can't glean a little bit from your resume.
That's a really good point.
What you have there also falls in the category of ag science, and anything that in particular like land use, water quality, that deals with a lot of ag science, agriculture. That's the type of work that I used to do with the USGS, the National Water Quality Assessment Program, and that covered a huge fraction of the country. Of course, the USDA would be interested in the skill set that you probably acquired from that. So you would have options, but you're going to have to, of course, put a spin on your efforts, so that the average late person out there reading it doesn't flip. They have to see the benefit behind that. There's I ran into a guy who they started a company in South America and Uruguay, and their whole company was designed to sell fertilizer for people growing cannabis. And these guys were making millions a month selling fertilizer tailored specifically for cannabis products. So the science that you're acquiring may have a lot more use than you think.
Well, yeah, it's actually a pay cut, this job I'm looking at, but it's not. It's about if you do what you like, you're not really working, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. It's not really about the money to me. I just want to get in and be a geologist.
Very good. Hey, we need to wrap this up. We're 7 minutes past the hour, and I want to thank everybody for attending. I hope we have given the students on board, and I hope also that the students of India have gained some benefits to the comments made during this hour and a half. Jim, Mehmet, Matt, Mark, Danielle, thank you guys very much. Mark Hood also, thank you. We'd like to maybe leave with each of you giving one interview secret, one tidbit of information that you want these students to walk away with, starting with Jim. Jim?
Well, thank you, Steve. Nice job of moderating. You did a great job, and all the other people that participated. I'd say the main thing is to be able to tell a story of how you did something. Maybe you failed or you didn't meet your expectations initially, but then how you rose above it, that you never quit or you stumbled and you came back. I think people like to see people that have made success out of something that may not have been the best thing initially.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Mehmet?
Well, I'm of the opinion in the evolving dynamic of getting a job, keeping a job, being advanceable in that job, promotable, et cetera, a simple lesson: show up early, always be early. If you can be the first one there, that it makes sense to do so, then do so. You never have to make excuses for being early. And there's a whole Bible full of excuses of why people are late. You don't want to be one of those people. And people are they always keep a favorable impression of you. Oh, okay, it's always that woman's always here on time. She's punctual as a clock, So that's a simple one that any of us can kind of inculcate in our behavior.
Good addition. Good comment. Mark Rogers?
2-page resume. A lot of employers like to see a concise layout in 2 pages or less, and then always have your backup. I have a 15-page resume that I have, and I usually have two sets. 2-page that is very concise, to the point, and then if the employer wants to see more information, then you can provide that. But that's a good way to start, is keeping your package tight, concise, and not too lengthy.
Okay, thank you, Mark. How about Mark Wood? Do you have a comment? One-liner?
Well, Jim grabbed mine, but the only other thing I could add would be research. Do your homework. Know that company as best you can. Your website, anything else you could drag up on the internet.
Okay, thanks, Mark. And Danielle, parting comment. What one thing?
Yeah, one thing that I would like to share with all you kids, all you guys and gals and all that stuff. Presentation is everything, First impressions are lasting impressions. Look good, stand up straight, have, maybe you're not a smiler, put a smile on your face just for that one interview, and make them feel like you're eager and excited to be there. That's always something that they love to see. They don't want to be, they don't want to interview someone who's frumpy and dumpy and has no energy. Like Akira did a really good job, and I think Steve mentioned that about standing up. Obviously in your interview you're probably going to be sitting, but just sit up straight, have confidence, put yourself out there. You guys are smart, you're capable, you're amazing, you are going to do great things. and you need to show them that.
All right. Words of wisdom from somebody who's been out in the weeds for a short while. I will end with one thing also, and that one thing is to be yourself. You are the best at being yourself than any other person. Show all your good attributes in these interviews and enjoy them, because as you interview with different companies, essentially you're establishing the beginnings of a new relationship. And no matter how it goes, you end up reaping great benefit in that. So you guys, I wish you the best. I know you can do it. You're studying now. You'll be out in the world at some point, and you'll find your successes. We always do find those successes. Thank you, India, for attending. We've recorded most of this session, so it will become available. Anna Marie, I never gave you the copy of our last meeting we had because I couldn't. I have it here. I may have to just send it to you, but I couldn't change the formatting to work out as an MP4. So anyhow, I can do that if you wish. Just text me or email me and as to where I would send a disc, and I'll send you a DVD. Okay. That should do it, everybody. Thank you very much for attending. We do this once a year. So the next one is in 365 days. Put it on your calendar. Okay.
Is there going to be a post interview, a post survey, Steve? Will there be a post survey?
I was not planning on that. However, I would like to ask each and every one of you to email me with any comments that you have on how you felt about this and how we can improve it. My email address is my name, Steve Baker, no spaces, STEVEDAKER, at Operation Unite, one word, Operation Unite, it's all singular, .co. There's no M on that, just CO. So go ahead and just email me your thoughts. I will assemble all those, and we will make that available to, I'm not sure how Zoom works, but if there's a way to send that to everybody who's been with us tonight, I will do it. Otherwise, we will make it available through AIPG's website. Okay? Well, thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of the day. And for you, all of you in India, enjoy your morning. See you later. Bye-bye.
Take care. See you. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Nice job, Steve.
Okay, you good. Glad you guys were here.
Maybe we try to plug events at the beginning next time.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that because that's coming up quick again.
Because we have Matt Rhodes was here, so we could have.
I know.
Talked to him too. Ooh, and since it's a smaller group, Troy, you said that getting a job after 30 is non-existent.
Is what?
You said it was non-existent for geologists?
I didn't say it was not existent. I said it's difficult.
Okay.
There's a lot of ageism in the United States. It's a very popular thing. So people that are over a certain age, whether if you don't look it, then, you kind of get over. But that's a very big problem in the United States.
Yeah, because I was like, I have kids, these kids' age.
Yeah. And I asked for the post survey, which I would have loved to see it have the question in particular for the students: what is an M&A?
What is M&A?
What do you mean?
What is an M&A? Does anybody here know what an M&A is?
It's monitored natural attenuation.
Well, not you.
Microbial control and water management.
Lupita, anybody here? What's an M&A? Did you learn that in school?
I learned that tonight.
That's my point. And tonight you heard.
To be fair, I didn't learn that either.
And tonight you heard that that's what they're looking for as entry-level position.
And that's why young people try to attend these things, right?
So, I've taught for over 20 years, and I can tell you it's not taught. And I can tell you that even mid-level folks, most don't know. So, it's very important that schools educate folks to what companies need. But if you don't have that conversation with academia, it's not going to happen. You have to take it in a specialized class, like if you're in grad school. You learn it a little bit in geochemistry. You learn the mechanics in geochemistry if you take a grad school course, because that's a huge part of any kind of geochemical class. But the average geologist is not going to know this because they're only going to have a certain amount of chemistry background.
Right. Yeah, I've seen biocontrol in like invasive plant species, but not in groundwater.
Remediation, they're really sophisticated things that have been around for a very long time because the geologist is the true interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
Anybody who's come out of university from the 80s or earlier has a very broad background in the geosciences. But folks that may have come out in the 90s or maybe if in the past 10 years, they're not going to have a wide, broad spectrum of a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, a tad bit of biology, which most will never even taken it. I've never taken a biology class, but I've had to learn it along the way, dealing with things like evapotranspiration, which is one of my specialties. So, I'm just saying that there needs to be some high from the high up down in dealing with the recruitment process for geologists in the United States. It's not something I'm making up. It's a challenge. Of course, if you're in the West Coast, water's king out there. You just have to have a bachelor's degree and you're going to do okay. But in the East Coast, most folks need to have a master's degree to compete. It's that challenging.
Even in California, oil and energy companies want to see or don't consider people actual geologists until they have a master's degree. Is what I've been told from industry people.
Yeah. So you take anything like that, and how do you compete with that kind of a degree, which typically for some folks, I can't say for everybody, but for some people, you're gonna have a lot of debt by the time you're done with school. So how do you work an internship that doesn't want to pay you money?
Right. Yeah.
How do you right off the bat, you wipe out half the people on the list because most folks don't have a whole lot of money to go to school in the first place. So, these are the things that have to be addressed, in my opinion, before we start to sell, really dreams for which only a small percentage of the new geologists that want to work in their fields can even attain to. You have to be very realistic about this, very realistic and very careful.
Health and safety certification was mentioned in this talk. Is there any other kind of certification that you would recommend people be looking into?
When you say health and safety, we're talking about like the OSHA hazmat. Is that the HAZWOPER stuff?
Yeah, and in fact, I recommend people take it on their own. Sometimes colleges will give it either online or in person. The reason is that way your resume will go up to the top of the stack because you've had it, and that's one less thing that the company has to pay for. It shows you. Right. You'll also learn all the buzzwords about monitored natural attenuation. You'll learn about exposure and other things potentially.
Yes, very, very important.
Good if you can take it online or whatever.
Many of the jobs are water resource jobs that are out there, remediation in particular. And I expect that's going to continue. I think that's going to continue to rise, remediation jobs.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, thanks all for being on the call and contributing. Troy, it was great information. And thank you.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to hit me up, I'm real easy to find. Google me, real easy to find, or just connect with me in LinkedIn or something. Not to mention, I'm gonna be I'm on the advisory team, right, Jacobs?
Yeah.
So you'll be seeing my face quite a bit because California's on my list.
There you go. Well, that's a terrific thing. Thank you so much, Troy. We appreciate it. Thank you for everybody else to participate. Olivia will, I guess, wind down the recording, but we have a recording, and I'll figure out with Steve how to post it so you can watch it over and over again or whatever. But anyway, thanks.
Thank you all for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, guys, have a good night.
Thank you.
I had a question.
What's that?
I want to know about the annual convention. Is it going to be in Denver, Colorado, or as it is they're planning, or is it going to be online? Because I don't know if I'll be able to attend online or not.
Right. So the annual convention this year will be October 23rd to 26th in Sacramento, California. And so hopefully we'll be able to do it. I don't know, depending if we get the vaccines in time. I'm flip a coin, I think, at this point, but we're going to do our best to try to put it together. We tried to do last year, and of course, COVID killed that. So I'm not sure how much we'll have online, but we will try our best to see what we can do. But thank you for your, it should be good.
One in May 23rd to May 26th.
No, October 23rd to October 26th.
Oh, sorry.
And then that's important because I think May is, I think even October may be too early. I don't know. But we're planning it out, and hopefully we'll have people from all over the world coming. Okay. Thank you much.